So we're here with Mark Nightingale of a band of brothers who's been helping us lead our own making project workshops. Mark, hello. Thank you very much for being a part of it. We're just coming to halfway through the fifth and last of our workshops, and just tell us first a bit about who you are and why you were invited to be involved.
My name's Mark. I've worked with the Band of Brothers for 10 years, from the inception of Band of Brothers, which was in Brighton 10 years ago, and we specialise in working with young men. We believe that one of the things that's missing for young men in our communities is an effective rites of passage that marks the transition from adolescence into manhood. There are various strands of things that sort of are attached to that, but that's the sort of distilled version of what we do and why we do it. Why did I come to this project? Well, I was invited by you, Jonathan, to come and to work with younger men as a mentor. And also, a lot of the work that I do in Band of Brothers is connected with mythology and storytelling. And so what I brought to this was a little taster, in a way, of how important it is for men and women, of course, to kind of understand their own narrative and understand their own stories, and to know where they are in their own story as well. So we've done, in this project, we've done very kind of gentle sessions with these young lads around talking about ancestors, talking about their own stories in relation to their lives, and also I've brought some storytelling to the project, which we would then debrief and wonder aloud. What do they mean? What does it mean? What's the relevance of it to them in their own lives, and what's the relevance culturally as well? And it's been an interesting project for me to work with younger lads, because normally I work with 18 to 25 year olds. So I've had to kind of adjust a little bit what I do to kind of suit the age group and the developmental stage that these young men are at. But I think they've enjoyed it, and the reason I say they've enjoyed it was because one of the young lads said, "Are we going to hear any myths this week?" last week, and I so they're obviously, some deep part of them is touched or moved or in some way inspired by the idea of thinking outside of the literal and to work in a more kind of what I would describe as a liminal way. So I think that and also bringing poetry to the work as well. For me, I think that poetry is a language that steps outside of the literal. It speaks to the heart. It speaks to the unconscious, and so I'm hoping to inspire these young men to enjoy poetry as well, as I do.
From what I saw and heard, I think you have, and definitely when we had our taste of poetry, I saw them really responding to it. How have you found the young men?
I've really enjoyed their company. I think that their contribution has been really beautiful, to be honest, and they've really showed up strong. I've noticed that with them being engaged and with them having a sense of purpose, they don't seem to want to mess about as much as perhaps they would say in a school environment. And that's not making a judgment on schools. It's just there's a lot of crowd
dynamics,
herding cattle in schools, and these lads seem to be more engaged in what we're doing here, and also the subject matter as well in relation to gaming. That maybe the consequences of gaming in our culture seem to be something that these lads seem to be interested in as well. So from that perspective, I've really enjoyed working with them, and there's a lot of sweetness about them, as well as in some cases sort of an element of streetwiseness as well. So I've enjoyed it very much.
The combination of their, as you say, their wisdom
Yeah.
and their innocence.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's been many times during this project I've been really deeply touched by their willingness to be open and vulnerable and share their hearts in a way that's, like you say, innocent but also really moving. They're really honest. So
in quite a short time as well, because it's only been, we've met 5 times now. This is our 5th time, and we've only sort of seen each other for a certain number of hours each time, and they were able to. I mean, they've come back.
Yeah, they've come back, and like I say, I think there's a level of trust that's been developed, and it's been done in a very simple way. It's done without too much pressure or anything like that. It's been very kind of gentle, and as a result of that, I think that they've seen that we're not here to try and get them to be or do or be anything other than who they are, and I think they've appreciated that, and as a result of that, there's been a kind of element of trust been built, and they've opened up. So yeah, that's
Have you enjoyed the work that Helen's been doing?
I've enjoyed it. It's been a challenge physically.
Yeah.
I'm not as young as I used to be, and I've got to be honest and say I'm not as committed to that kind of thing. I used to do a lot of that when I was at drama school, and in various projects. I used to be an actor for many years, and of course there were various projects that I did where there were lots of movement was incorporated in it. But to be honest, I've enjoyed watching her work with the young men, and the work that they've been producing has been really. It's going to be very beautiful and meaningful within the project itself. Personally, I found it a bit of a challenge.
On your old bones.
On my old bones.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought you very bravely in the first few weeks. First two. I think the second week I seem to remember you launching in a lot more. And then, and then I think that was the peak.
It was. I peaked. I peaked early, but then what I realised as well.
Excuse me.
Was that once they started working on the pieces rather than us just getting to know each other.
Sure.
It was actually important for me to step out because I was not going to be involved in the eventual piece that they were doing. So
yeah, it's all right. You don't have to.
It kind of worked well. It worked well on both sides.
Yeah, perfect. For me too. Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think we'll wrap it there. Unless there's anything else you want to say about the project generally, anything you want to say about what you're going to take away, or
I've really enjoyed it, and it's been a pleasure to work in such a kind of collaborative environment without the usual kind of pressure that I'm used to in the acting world, and I've really enjoyed seeing how these young lads have thrown themselves in. It's been a pleasure, and I've enjoyed being involved in the project. And I hope that it really lands with audiences, and I hope that they really kind of are inspired to question some of the issues that are raised in the project itself, in the play and in the project. So,
thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Mark Nightingale, thank you very much. Thank you for being involved. It's been a real pleasure to have you as part of all of this, and we hope maybe there's some scope to try and repeat it, and if we do, then hope perhaps you'll come back.
If I'm not too busy, I will make space for it.
Might get you more involved with the dance.
I might be too busy then.